It's quite simply one of the boldest and, in a way, surprising moves and riskiest moves a head coach has ever made in any sport. When you consider the fact the fans wanted him to keep Brady, the owner, his boss, wanted him to keep Brady, and one would imagine the players on his own team wanted him to keep Brady, and yet he still chose to go another way. Brady wanted to stay. They don't have a clear in-house replacement, and yet Bill Belichick, despite all of that, did something people almost never do, which is he simultaneously did the unpopular thing and the riskier thing. And the only way to square that circle, the only way to rationalize that, is if you think that Belichick believes Tom Brady, quite simply, is not a good quarterback anymore, and that Belichick believes, Greg, that they could have won those 12 games they won last year with just about any quarterback, because the easiest thing for him to do would have been to bring Brady back, and then if it doesn't work out, no one blames him, Greg, for bringing back the greatest player in the history of the sport.
I agree, Nick. When you look at Belichick's decision to allow Tom Brady to just walk out the door, he saw something every single day that we didn't have the privilege of seeing. He saw not only a champion mentally, and he understood what Tom Brady brought to the table from that aspect, but physically, as you're alluding to, he saw him in practice. He saw the highs, the lows, the inconsistency in his throwing accuracy, not so much his arm strength, his inability to be willing to stand in the pocket like he had once done before. And ultimately, he felt that, you know what, I could possibly insert someone else and they could provide this level of expectation that I have. And when we look at the New England Patriots in times past, the only other player that we've seen play a long time, or I shouldn't say a long time, the entire season, rather, Matt Castle. And he inserted Matt Castle, and they had a tremendous amount of success. So I believe that he feels, I've done this before, we've had to do it before, to a magnitude that I believe we can continue to stack success and build on what we've already established with our culture.
Hey, Kevin, how do you think this is going to ultimately reflect on Bill Belichick? Or are we going to have to wait and see what happens with Tom Brady?
Well, look, I think we're going to be fine. Emotionally, I think we're going to be fine. But I'll be totally honest with you, Jenna. It's not like I haven't envisioned a nightmare scenario, right? Thomas Jefferson has a famous quote. He says, I'm a believer in luck. The harder I work, the luckier I get. So no one doubts that Bill Belichick does a lot of preparation and works hard. Also, nobody can doubt we've been very, very lucky as an organization. From the tuck rule to, Nick, I know your favorite play, D Ford, obviously offsides. The Patriots have benefited from a lot of luck. So I think without Tom Brady, a few unlucky bounces, and we could be in a worst-case scenario, like Gene Chizik style, 14-0 with Cam, national championship, 8-5, 3-9. Like, is that Bill Belichick's future? No. Did I think about it? Is that my nightmare scenario? Yes.
So, Nick, was it skill or was it luck with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? Where does that leave Bill Belichick now, that the organization can now do it without him, just plug someone in?
Well, I think that Belichick looks at last season and he says, why did we win 12 games? And the answer is the defense. I challenge anyone to go out there and find me the game, and I think this is Belichick's mindset, find me the game Tom Brady won for the Patriots. Last year in those 12 wins, they allowed, I'm going to read them to you. These are the points they allowed in their 12 wins. 3, 0, 14, 10, 7, 14, 0, 13, 10, 9, 13, 17. So they would have, if they would have scored 15 points in every game all year, they win 11 games. They didn't have a single win all season where the defense allowed more than 17 points. And in the 5 games, including the playoffs, where the defense didn't hold the team into the teens or lower, they were 0-5. So I think Bill Belichick very clearly and calculatedly says, that Super Bowl, the last one we won, our defense held the Rams to 3. That's why we won. All year long, we won games through our defense. We don't need a great quarterback to have the success that we had, and we didn't have a great quarterback anyway at this point in his career. But to Jenna, to answer your question, the people will do revisionist history, which is why this is so risky. Because if Tom Brady does have a bounce back season, or even if the Bucs are just really good and Brady's not that great, people will still give Brady the credit. Or if Brady's bad, but the Patriots never get the quarterback situation settled, people will say, oh, it was all Tom, it wasn't Bill, or it was more Tom than Bill. Bill has opened himself up to this massive barrage of potential criticism, and the only logical reason he would do that is if he was thoroughly convinced, A, his quarterback was cooked as a high-level player, and B, they can win with Brian Hoyer, Jared Stidham, whether they go out and get Andy Dalton, because he looks at last year and says, how many of those games would we have won last year with mediocre quarterback play? And I think he says 11 or 12, and they won 11 or 12.
Greg, let me ask you a question quickly. We understand and we've known and we've seen the way Bill Belichick treats all of his players, whoever they are, the veterans, the successful ones, the Hall of Famers, down to those who've been there for a year or two. It's what Belichick does. But don't you think maybe in this case it should have been different rules for Tom Brady? I mean, whether you think that all their success is credited to Belichick or Brady, Brady had a big part of it. Don't you think he should have handled it maybe a little bit differently, or is it just Bill Belichick and the way he does his business?
Well, Jenna, you would like to have thought that he would handle this situation differently because it was Tom Brady. But this is why Bill Belichick and New England Patriots have been successful, because of his mentality of the Patriots way. And there is no one individual above the team. As a player, you don't want to hear that, and you don't sometimes want to believe that, especially when you provide the talent and all the wins that Tom Brady has provided an organization. But Belichick, in his approach to all things, has been consistent. This would not be a discussion if he would have gotten his way 2 years ago. And so for me, even as a former player, you have to respect when a coach treats everyone the same way when it comes to whether they're in on you or they're out on you, whether we hold you in within our organization and try to pull out and sponge out everything you got, or we let you go, which is what Belichick has always done a year or two before someone else typically would, which we can then ride off and continue our successes.
Nick, you've been saying this for a long time now.
Well, listen, and the other thing I think Belichick knows, and Wilds, I don't know where you're at with your love for Brady now. He's out of the cocoon. He's no longer a Patriot, but he brought you all your success. So I don't know what you're rooting for Tom Brady as a Buck to look like. But Belichick knows. Brett Favre at age 40 damn near won league MVP with the Minnesota Vikings. At age 41, he was horrible and out of football the next year. Dan Marino was not vintage Dan Marino, but he was good. And then at his final year with the Dolphins, he was unbelievably bad. Peyton Manning was still a 101 quarterback rating guy outstanding player. His second to last year with the Broncos. His last year with the Broncos, it was 9 touchdowns, 17 picks. When you go down the list of quarterbacks who have played for an extended period of time, once they start to show you it might be leaving them, it's then gone. And so I think he wanted to be ahead of that. And I think he believes, I think Brady and Belichick clearly believe two different things. Brady believes Belichick and the offense held me back last year, and I'm going to show the world. I think Belichick clearly, by his actions, Wildes, believes we kept you together. Under any other system, you would have looked like Peyton Manning in his final year with the Broncos, and now the world's going to get to see it. And now, amazingly, the world actually is going to get to see who was right. But Brady can't go backwards, Wildes, because of what he's accomplished. Belichick can look like a fool if Brady looks great as a Tampa Bay Buck.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.